The day the postman rang my house at 38 Kelvin Road and go, I've got a package for you, Rob, and it's like the first copy of Rock-a-Roller, which was 1974, and I can remember that vividly. Ding dong, there's a postman, you signed for this. And I take it out, and there's the album, the worst cover. Worst cover in the album ever. That's it now then, that's it. Superstars, Money in the Bank. Wrong. Took another 10 years of slog.
Judas Priest are the Ridley Scott of heavy metal. Undeniably talented, indisputably influential, and at times more lopsided than Lance Armstrong's sack. And unlike Anabolic Bicycle Boys' balls, they're seminal, authoring some of the most efficacious offerings ever spun to a wax cylinder, until with a single errant dice roll, they're suddenly boofed by their own boomerdom. How lopsided a discography, you inquire? Put it this way. They followed up British Steel with Point of Entry. They felt an ideal main course after the appetizer that was Angel of Retribution was the bloated boomer bouillabaisse that is Nostradamus. And they followed up Painkiller by breaking in half like a bridge in Baltimore. Compounding the problem, it ain't like they're cranking out albums like Prince on Angel Dust. We waited a damn near decade between Nostradamus and Firepower, and as such, I nearly died of clinical surprise when I waited merely a half decade for the subject of today's Mythos missive, Invincible Shield. And the results, to put it bluntly, are more mixed than Matthew Perry's medications. Nothing typifies this approach more completely than the first single, Panic Attack, an opening slab of speed metal that couldn't have been more generic without a Kirkland logo. With that said, the intro's admittedly awesome, and the solo slaps harder than Will Smith at the Oscars.
Keep fucking my wife's mouth!
I'm going to, okay?
It's a solo worthy of a Power Rangers transformation for a fact. It's just a shame the in-between bits, the actual song, suck balls through a blowgun. Look, if all there was to songwriting is some six-string messiah hand-jiving a Jackson while every untalented guitar tuber anally ovulates in unison, we have Yngwie Malmsteen's last 4 albums for that. Fortunately for our ear holes, business picks all the way up on succeeding efforts. The title track is memorable, if a bit boilerplate in places, but buoyed as it is by the beastly devil in disguise, road anthem Gates of Hell, and the pounding power metal of Serpent and the King, it remains ably afloat regardless. And it's the latter 2 tunes that sum up the strongest lyrical themes of Invincible Shield. In short, after a larcenous life and myriad personal struggles, over the past few years, Rob Halford, like previous Mythos luminaries Stryper, Wasp, and Alice Cooper, is now a converted and committed Christian. Invincible Shield, as a result, is festooned with lyrical expressions of spiritual warfare and a repentant sinner's deliverance.
How about your spirituality? When did you become spiritual, and is there a connection to your latter albums with a spiritual connection to the music and the lyrics?
Well, I think we've all got that in us anyway. It's just for me as a little kid, I was brought up not in that type of environment, but it was there.
Yeah.
And I think it's a part of maturing as you get older. You start to think more. Like you look at the sky and you go, "What's out there?" All of these things tend to tumble around in your brain. But without a doubt, when I became sober on the 6th of January 1986, that's when I really found that foundation stone.
Never mind subtlety, some of these titles and lyrics lay it out explicitly. Serpent and the King outright relays the eternal war of the angelic and demonic. As God is my witness is an ardent announcement of Rob's commitment to overcoming the temptations of his past. And nowhere is this more impressively illustrated than in my personal pick for best track on the ever-loving album, Trial by Fire. Unfortunately, from there, the latter half of the album has more filler than Cher's cheeks, and his feckless plotter Escape from Reality gives way to Sons of Thunder, which even at its most fist-pumping refrain sounds like cutting room leftovers from one of the first Fight records. It's clear by track 9 this album would have been better served sitting pretty with the black metal standard of 8 songs. Oh, but we ain't even yanked the ripcord and descended into Coprophagia Canyon yet, folks, because then, at an agonizing 11 tracks, Invincible Shield ignominiously concludes with what is not only the most tiresome tune on the album, but may well be the single worst Priest song since the bonus disc on Redeemer of Souls, an elephantine butt metal lullaby by the name of Giants in the Sky.
And how your love still gets me through the day. I'm not alone when you care. Having someone that's always there helps me pull through. You always do. You're never far away.
What are you, Vicente Fernandez? What Puerto Rican pool boy are you trying to woo with that monster ballad, Robbo? And that's really the tale of the tape with Invincible Shield. Great song, dull song. Great song, dull song. At its best, it peaks higher than Firepower in places. And at its worst, it's what Redeemer of Souls would have sounded like if it hadn't been recorded on a Walkman. Don't get me wrong, Invincible Shield is stronger than a straight shot of turpentine. But if we're judging objectively, musically, and above all vocally, the most consistent Priest product produced in the last year had the letters KK in front of it. A band, I would remind you, has exactly as many Judas Priest members in it as Judas Priest. Andy Sneap, love your production, pal. You resurrected Accept, breathe new life into Saxon, and save priests from the mire of their own indulgence. But every time your ass appears on stage, it ain't even almost Priest anymore. It's Halford with Ian Hill on bass. And once and for always, allow me to set the record straight. Ian Hill, God love him, is not an original Priest member. When Ian Hill and original singer Al Atkins joined KK Downing's band known as Wreckage, they suggested adopting the name of an entirely different band they'd been a part of, which was called Judas Priest. Meaning when KK was kicked to the curb, Judas Priest officially no longer had any original members. Unless, of course, you count the veiny, throbbing members in their management. Deal with it, dick holsters. I'm Razor Fist until we emerge once more from the mists of the Mythos. Godspeed!
As God is my witness, I swear there'll be hell to pay. As God is my witness, I will prevail until the end. As God is my witness.
Okay, and last but not least, so if you had to play for an audience of all men or all women, which would it be?
Women. See?
Ladies and gentlemen,
the other way?
Rob Halford, end of house, right here.